Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the Zera Shimshon Midrash Rashi series. And this week's Parsha is a very interesting one. It's Parashat Vaera. It goes over the first 7 plagues of Egypt. And I'm going to go over information, first of all, with the Zera Shimshon, then I'm going to move over to Midrash, and then I'm going to move over to Rashi. So before we learn this series, there is a special before and after prayer. I am learning Leilun Nishmat, the Mechaber of the Sefer Rabbeinu Shimshon Chaim ben Rav Nachman Michael. May it be your will, Ribono Shel Olam, that the words he wrote in the introduction to his Sefer come true in the 3 categories he mentioned: children, health, and Parnasah. This week's Parsha is Parashat Vaera, and I'm going to go ahead and start with my Zera Shimshon. If you guys have any questions, you guys can feel free to unmute yourselves and ask, preferably after I'm done with the section and not while I'm in the middle. Okay. So in book number 1 of Zera Shimshon, it's on page 207, Parashat Vaera. It says over here, Bnei Israel were saved from the animals and the merit of Shabbos. I shall make a distinction between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign will come about. I shall make a distinction teaches us that Bnei Israel should also have been harmed in the plague of wild animals. The question is, why? What was the connection between this particular plague and Bnei Israel? The commentators explain that there were many people among the Jews who were still involved in worshiping Avodah Zarah. The Gemara clarifies, even when there is no Jewish court that can impose the death penalty, Ribono Shel Olam sees to it that the crimes that call for it are punished. He who deserves to be stoned will be attacked by a wild animal. According to this, since Bnei Israel were still involved with Avodah Zarah, for which the punishment is stoning, it would have been fitting for them to have been attacked by the wild animals in lieu of stoning. But Hashem intervened and saved them from sharing the Egyptians' fate during the plague. Why did Hashem choose to save his nation if they deserved to be killed? The commentators on the Zohar explain that the 10 plagues have a direct correlation with the 10 commandments. The plague of wild animals, which was the 4th plague, correlates with the mitzvah of keeping Shabbos, which is the 4th of the 10 commandments. The Gemara writes, anyone who keeps the Shabbos properly will be forgiven for worshiping Avodah Zarah, even if he does it like the generation of Enosh. Since Bnei Israel were already keeping the mitzvah of Shabbat and Mitzrayim, they were saved from the plague of wild animals. And even though they hadn't yet been commanded to keep the mitzvah of Shabbos, Shabbos protected them and they were not harmed. So over here, I would like to bring about how we see this even in today. When Bnei Israel does Avodah Zarah today is very different than what it was back then. But even in this generation, there's different versions, different forms of certain types of Avodah Zarah. One of the ways of Avodah Zarah is being pulled into your, I don't know, not environment, not society, but basically like when you're doing what everyone else is doing. Classic example with what is going on today, being all up in the news, trying to figure out what's this, what's that, who's good, who's bad. You're taking your focus off of Hashem. And when you take your focus off of Hashem and you're focusing on something that's not relevant. You're focusing on something that's materialistic. You're focusing on something that is here right now, gone the next. It's a form of avodah zarah. There's physical avodah zarah, there's spiritual avodah zarah, and like it said over here in the Zera Shimshon, every plague, every makah that we get correlates to specific, to each specific commandment. Now, one thing I did not do, and I should have done, however, was write down the 10 commandments in its order and write down the plagues in its order, and we could see how each one correlates to one another. So, anyone else have questions about this specific section?
Were we just talking about wild animals only?
Yeah.
Oh. Not with the fourth, but
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so let me see what else he says over here. Okay, so one thing I also wanted to touch up on was the preservation of Shabbos. It says, he who keeps the Shabbat keeps them. And what does that mean? What does that mean exactly? It's not just, lighting your candles. It's just not abstaining, staying away from technology, or, just breaking the basic rules. Keeping Shabbat is also keeping the energy of Shabbat. When you keep the energy of Shabbat, you do your best to be happy when you're sitting down at the table. You're doing your best, to give an Avira of Shabbat with the Zemirot, with the Birkat HaMazon, and the Brachot, and the Tfilot. All of that is part of Shabbat. It's not considered Shmirat Shabbat if a person, let's say, stays away from his telephone, stays away from, electronics or whatever, but sleeps all day. That's not Shmirat Shabbat. That's just not breaking Shabbos. It's not keeping the Shabbos. Shabbos has two parts to it. You have the keeping its laws, and you have the spiritual aspect of it. And they both go hand in hand. And when you do your best to bring the light of Shabbos into your home in every aspect, in every possible way, you will start seeing Siyata Deshmaya, which is divine providence, throughout your life and throughout things that you go through. If a person is going through a hard time, very hard time, doesn't know what to do, but for the fact that they keep Shabbat and they try to preserve the holy energy of Shabbat, that Shabbat is going to drop very specific information. It's going to drop very specific knowledge. I guess you could say light bulbs on how to be able to deal with a situation at hand properly and accordingly. Every person is different. Everyone goes through different things. What could work for person A might not work for person B. But if you want to have that special ashgacha pratit, if you want to have that special shmira, you have to be that way with Shabbat and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So I hope all that makes sense with the Zera Shimshon. Anyone have any questions on that?
I need a Hebrew to English translation on all the Hebrew words. I'm kidding. I saw that. What? I don't understand.
No, I mean, it was all I was saying is a person that, just,
I got it. I was just saying, when you use the Hebrew words to me, I'm literally I have to watch your signals because it's the only way I get it. Because unfortunately, I'm probably one of the many Jews here whose parents did not give me a Jewish education, really. So I know nothing of Hebrew other than what I read, and I read the English.
Right.
So it's slow.
Maybe if I were to say it in a little bit more of an American accent or English accent instead of an Israeli accent, it would have been more understandable.
No, actually, I understand the Israeli accent. Don't say it as an American. Oh my God. No, I was just saying, like, I got it, but so when you say smear or whatever and all that, like that also goes to the conversations you have on Shabbos at the table. There's certain stuff we're not allowed to talk about, right?
Right.
So don't talk about politics or what's going on.
Exactly.
Can you spend like maybe a second or two on it at the table, or not at all? I only ask because of.
I mean, it's preferable not to. Anything that's not related to Shabbos should not be a part of Shabbos.
Okay. No, I just need to know because Brayden asks questions and I always forget to ask you after Shabbos.
Well, look, if a child is asking you a question, for example, what's going on in the world and how to go about dealing with it, then yeah, you can discuss it, and you have to make sure that you bring Torah into it, and then it doesn't become a conversation of tafel. It doesn't become a conversation of what's the English word for it? Unimportant.
Right. So that's what we've been doing. Like, Raymond gets on these tangents because of my time share with him,
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk or whatever, we'll talk about, whatever craziness going on, because they'll hear what we talk about on Friday at the dinner table. And then what we're doing now is we're pulling the Tanakh out and we're going, but look what Ezekiel said, or what said, or what does it say in the Parsha?
Right.
So I'm trying. So I just wanted to make sure that we're kind of doing what we're doing good. And if there's something we need to clean up, I can easily tell this child and my brain to knock it off. So, okay. Perfect. Thank you. By the way, I did pull up the 10 Commandments.
Oh, you did?
Because you were like, I wish I had it right next. So I have it.
So maybe I'll go over it like towards the end, and then we could do the comparisons with all of them. Okay. I think I took out my Post-it for the Midrash. Don't get mad at me.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Okay. All right. So going over the plagues in the Midrash, there's two specific ones that I guess you could say just came out towards me.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to discuss both of those. One of the first one I'm going to be discussing is going to be the plague of lice, kidim, and the 7th plague, barad, hail. So going on to the 3rd plague, which is lice, Hashem said to Moshe, I will bring another plague. This time, don't warn Pharaoh. You warned him already twice, and he did not listen. In front of Pharaoh and his servants, Aaron stretched out his stick, and suddenly the dust of the land of Egypt turned into lice. Do you know what lice are? And it's better if you don't. They are insects that are tinier than pinheads that nest in a person's hair or on his body and itch him terribly. I'm about to crack up because how they're describing it right now, like how lice and how they're like pests and they stick, and no matter what you do, they're like all over you.
Yeah. I'm
taking that and I'm putting it with the Democratic Party right now.
We can put that with some Republicans too, but hey, talking about lice though, I hear they have a lot of lice outbreaks in Israel.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, because I would like you to. Yeah.
Yeah, it nests in a person's hair or on his body and itch him terribly. One Midrash explains that Hashem brought 14 different kinds of lice upon the Egyptians. Some of them were the size of chicken eggs. And some of them as large as duck eggs. Wow. The lice settled down on the Egyptians and their animals and itched them. Only the Jews were not infested. Pharaoh called his magicians and asked them, can you also bring lice? Sorry, Your Majesty, they answered, magicians cannot create lice. You had better believe that this plague is not magic. God has brought the lice by a miracle, but Pharaoh refused to listen to his magicians. After 7 days, Hashem ended the plague. So the Midrash over here explains Hashem wants us to be grateful to all who are good to us. Do you remember who stretched out his stick to bring about the plague of blood? Was it Moshe or was it Aaron? It was Aaron, right? And who brought the second plague of frogs? Again, it was Aaron. And who stretched out his stick to begin the next plague, lice? It was Aaron again.
I thought it was Moshe. Well, Moshe didn't do any of this.
Not Moshe.
Boy, did they get that story wrong.
Moshe brought some of the later plagues, but not the first three. Do you know why? Because the first three plagues, the staff needed to hit the floor, needed to either hit the floor or hit the water or whatever it was. And this was Moshe Rabbeinu's, look how even specific Moshe Rabbeinu was being thankful, not even towards, Jews, like towards a non-Jew, towards, Batya who pulled him from the river. Moshe didn't strike the river, it was Aaron, because Moshe said to Hashem, I cannot strike the river. It was through the river that I was saved by Batya. I cannot strike. It's not showing a karat tov. And when they needed to hit the ground for frogs and lice, how come Moshe couldn't hit the ground with the staff? Because when he saw the Egyptian that was beating the Jew, and he killed that Egyptian, what do you think happened to that Egyptian?
He was buried by the sand.
Yeah, the ground opened itself up and swallowed him, taking away the evidence, quote unquote. So that was Moshe Rabbeinu's hakarat tov, even to sand and to water. So I wanted to bring that out, how important it is, hakarat tov. And over here it also says, 1 second. Okay, so over here, the Midrash also adds, why could the magicians not create lice? Number one, a magician cannot make a creature smaller than a barley. Number two, even according to the Midrash that some lice are as big as duck eggs, the magician could not create lice because a magician can perform magic only while his feet touch the ground. Since all the dust in Egypt had turned into lice, the magician's feet did not actually touch the ground, so they could no longer perform any magic. So, hold on, I know that there was a comment here earlier. Hold on 1 second, let me check what's going on. Okay. I remember going to the family in Jerusalem and no possible them to talk. They have lice in Israel. Yeah, there's always lice in Israel. Oh my God.
But why?
I don't know. You want to see what's the third commandment and see what it relates to?
The third commandment says, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless. That's
so for Israelis. That is so for Israelis. Not taking God's name in vain. Wow. Okay.
What did they do?
Yeah, a bit too much.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Unfortunately, it's something that Israelis have to work on. Yeah.
Okay. How did you figure out that each plague correlated directly with commandment? That part?
Yeah, I think it was in the Zera Shimshon.
Okay.
I think it was in the Zera Shimshon that said it. So yeah, that was in the lice. Now I wanted to go over the 7th plague. This one's a bit touchy, but bear with me, please, okay? The 7th plague, hail barad. Hashem told Moshe, warn Pharaoh that the next plague will be as terrible as all plagues together. Big hailstones will fall down and cause many Egyptians to die. Pharaoh did not care. Therefore, Hashem told Moshe on the next day, stretch out your hand to the sky, then the hailstorm will begin. No Egyptian had ever seen such a hailstorm. The thunderclaps were so strong that many Egyptians died from the shock. When a particularly loud thunderclap set in, Pharaoh fell to the floor, but Hashem gave him the strength to get up, so that this Rasha should be alive to be punished by the rest of the plagues. Many Egyptians were hit by big hailstones and perished. These hailstones contained not only ice, but also fire. This was a miracle. Usually the fire would consume the ice, or the ice extinguished the fire. Some of the Egyptians were burned by the fire. Pharaoh called Moshe and Aaron. I sinned, he admitted. Hashem is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Please pray to Hashem to take this awful plague away. I promise you, you're all free to leave Egypt. Did Pharaoh keep his promise? He didn't. As soon as the hailstorm stopped, he became again as proud as he had been before and decided not to let Bnei Israel go. So was it that one or was it no? Was the coal and the ash that I wanted to talk about? The shechin. Wait, hold on. I'm a bit confused.
I'm a bit confused too. Just kidding.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just continue with this one. So the Midrash explained Hashem gives reward to everyone who deserves it, and even to a Rasha. Even though Pharaoh did not do tshuva, he did admit Hashem is righteous. After Pharaoh, all the Egyptians admitted it too. Hashem therefore rewarded the Egyptians in two ways. After the Egyptians drowned in the Yam Suf, Hashem commanded the sea to spit them out onto dry land and the earth to cover their dead bodies. Why did the Egyptians deserve to be buried? Because they had admitted Hashem is righteous. Hashem commands us in the Torah, although the Egyptians were cruel to you and enslaved you, accept an Egyptian who wants to become a ger, a convert to Judaism. Let his grandchildren intermarry with yours. One of the reasons why Hashem commanded that we accept the Egyptian gerim is that the Egyptians admitted after the plague of hail that Hashem is righteous. So what does that say for a lot of us? For people that constantly go back and forth with sinning and not sinning, that Hashem's mercy is unmeasurable, absolutely unmeasurable.
Especially with that particular commandment.
And what is the commandment on number 7?
You shall not commit adultery.
And you should not commit adultery. Wow.
US.
Yeah. Lost my track of thought. What was I saying before that?
The mercy.
Oh, yes. This shows all of us Hashem's infinite mercy. He even gives Rashaim, total Russia's reward, the moment they say, I'm sorry, I sinned, please forgive me. For the fact that a person realizes he's done a mistake, that's one of the 3 steps of tshuva. Whenever a person goes towards Hashem, like 1 step, Hashem will come closer to him 2 steps forward. So a person cannot put himself down on things that he's done in the past. If Hashem is able to forgive Egyptians, he can forgive us as well. You know what Hashem can't tolerate though? Is when we have a hard time forgiving ourselves. Because we have no right to do that to ourselves. If Hashem forgives Egyptians, who are we not to forgive our own selves? Does that make sense?
Can we also, ask Hashem, if we have a hard time forgiving ourselves, it could be because we lack the coping skills to be able to. So can't we at that point tell Hashem, I'm trying really hard to forgive myself, to let go of these things, but I need help because I lack the coping skills, or I lack the skills to be able to let go, to move on, to forgive myself, yada, yada, yada. For example. Can we say something like that?
Yeah, of course.
Because then that would let Hashem know, like, we don't mean to keep having a hard time on ourselves. We just lack the necessary skills to be able to let go.
I hear you. I'm gonna address Miriam's
comment.
comment real quick, and I'm gonna specify it. 1 second. Okay.
I like it when she's saying.
Yeah, okay, hold on. Where is it? Okay, she said, makes me think that he will forgive the Dems. Look, right now, he's giving the Dems chance after chance after chance after chance to see that truth fights. And truth eventually prevails. Does he want to avoid destruction? Yes. Do we all pray that we will see redemption in a peaceful manner? Yes. He's giving chance after chance after chance. Now, if, let's say, Bezrat Hashem, the Democratic Party will accept its mistake, admit their mistake, admit their fraudulent, elections or whatever it is, and they apologize and they give it to Trump, things will be a lot more peaceful and yada, 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 yada. But if they're going to keep on going head to head like Pharaoh did, which they're doing right now, it's not going to be good for them. No.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I did see the vote today, and I can tell you that not a single one of them voted nay. And only 10 Republicans voted yes in the House.
Right.
Almost 200 Republicans said no. Now, we still have the Senate Democrats and the Senate Republicans. Now, according to the Senate, they're at recess. They're not touching it until after Biden is in. Okay? Now, could something happen from now till then?
Yes.
100%.
Jinx.
Right? But with how they were talking, and yes, I endured it because I knew it was going to come up today in Becca's Zera Shimshon class. I'm going to tell you, I literally wanted to vomit, but every single one of them that talks on the agreeing side with Nancy Pelosi, it was fire. It was hate. It was like Pharaoh. It was 100%.
I see it.
Pharaoh.
I see it like.
It was 100% like Pharaoh, and they totally didn't. And it was like those that were opposing. It was like Moshe Rabbeinu, and it was like Moshe Rabbeinu, and it was like all this, and you could hear it, and you could hear their passion, and they kept trying to say, "Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it." Stop.
It's okay, but you know what? Just like he did to Pharaoh, he hardened his heart, because Hashem wanted him punished. He didn't want to give Pharaoh the chance to apologize.
Right, but
because Pharaoh needed to get punished. Because God, because of his mercy, the moment he does apologize, Hashem can put his wrath. So he hardened the heart and hardened the heart and hardened the heart, just so Hashem could say, I can punish, I can punish, I can punish.
And the writing was on the wall because Hashem numerous times was using his messengers in there to tell them that if you go through this and you do this, there will be a civil war.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some questions, and I need to hop onto Rashi. 1 second. Okay. Rachel says, Hashem knows where everyone is holding. As long as he sees us trying our best, he will forgive us 100%.
Yes.
And with all this hate, okay, and Miriam, with all this hate, I wonder who Pharaoh is a Gilgul. I think Pelosi is Pharaoh. I honestly think Pelosi is Pharaoh.
And she's got a little, and didn't Pharaoh also have assistants?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got some assistants.
Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to the Rashi. Okay. let's see, which one did I want to cover?
You didn't put a bookmark in there?
I did, but I bookmarked the page, but I didn't bookmark the section.
This is our top.
Okay. So it's on verse 5. I believe it was this one that I wanted to talk about. Verse 5. What chapter is it, first of all? Chapter 7, verse 5. Where am I? 6, 5. And Egypt shall know that I am Hashem when I stretch out my hand over Egypt, and I shall take the children of Israel out from among them. And Egypt shall know that I am Hashem. This is a theme that is repeated throughout the ensuing narrative. Pharaoh greeted Moses and Aaron with insolent comment, "Who is Hashem?" "I do not know Hashem," implying that the very concept of the one and open God was foreign to him. Therefore, a major purpose of the plagues and miracles was to display to the world that there is only one God. The Sforno goes as far as to say that the first 9 plagues were not punishments, but signs and wonders to prove that I am Hashem. Only the plague of the firstborn and the splitting of the sea were punishments by Hashem. And even they had additional purpose of demonstrating God's greatness. So what do we see here? And Egypt shall know that I am Hashem. How many times is it written? Well, I could tell you 2 off the top of my head. I'm sure that there's probably more. In the Shema and in Aleinu. It specifically states, on that day, my name will be one. The whole world will know my name, and I will reign all over the world. So here, we need to understand that when Hashem brings upon punishments, some people say punishments, other people call it awakenings. The Great Awakening. It's knocking on the door.
For those that haven't been awoke yet.
Yeah. It's to show Hashem, it's to show the whole world that Hashem is one. Right now, the whole world is not the whole world. I'm sorry. Not everyone. No. There are many people that are still in denial. But Baruch Hashem, there are many people that are awoken. Now, people that are awake, they realize that the hand of God is playing right now, because so many things just don't make sense. It doesn't. It just doesn't. The amount of proofs, and it doesn't matter what proof you bring. For them, it's like, no. It's exactly what's going on in this Parsha. It's exactly what's going on in this Parsha. Hashem is hardening the hearts. And we're all freaking out, but why? Because Hashem wants to make his name known right now. We don't see it because it's not happening yet, but when you try to look at the bigger picture here, it's just like Pharaoh. He's hardening the hearts because they deserve to get punished. We're not seeing it now. We're going to see it. Believe it, we're going to see it. Whether we like it or we don't, it's going to happen. How it's going to happen? He knows. I don't know. No one else knows. He knows how it's going to happen. Now, just like Hashem brought the plagues on Egypt, there were people that got affected by the plagues, and the people that believed in Hashem 100%, not just talking the talk. I'm talking about talking and walking the path of Hashem. Those people were not affected by the plagues. They lived their life normal, regular, waiting for the redemption to come any day now, any day now. And you know what? That's how it's supposed to be now. People are saying, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? You can go crazy by having that in your head. Do yourself a favor. Disconnect from that. Disconnect from that darkness. Disconnect from all that blindness. Disconnect from all the media. Disconnect from the news. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because what's going on right now, we're not in control of it. And if we're not in control of it, why be over involved? The only thing that will save you is clinging on to Hashem and trusting that what he's doing is the utmost best for the world. You know, when I was reading the Midrash, it was discussing the plague of Shechin. I think it was boils, was it?
Stomach in your ass.
Yeah, with the coal and the ash. I found that absolutely amazing.
Boiled?
Was it boils? No, blisters, Shechin. Hashem brought the plague by means of coal and ash. So it was saying, I'm going to go back a little bit to the Midrash real quick because I want to, prove a point.
Yeah, you got it.
Why Hashem brought the plague of means by coal and ash? Hashem said the Jews deserve a miracle to be performed on their behalf by means of coal and ash from an oven. Why? Because they would willingly die in ovens for my sake. Okay? Avraham Avinu let himself be thrown into a fiery pit in Ur Kasdim because he believed in me. And Hashem also said, in the future as well, 3 tzaddikim, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah will be thrown into the oven by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar because they will refuse to bow down to an image. They were willing to die in an oven for my sake. Ladies, even in the Holocaust that happened.
I was gonna say, hold on.
Even in the Holocaust that happened, people marched singing to Hashem. Singing to Hashem. They're right now walking the walk of death, going into an oven about to be kaput. But they held on to their faith. You know where their neshama is right now? I'll tell you where. It's right next to Kisei HaKavod. It's right next to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Garden of Eden, right?
Yeah. It's more than the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, there's many levels.
Oh, okay.
They're sitting right next to Hashem. That is being killed on Kiddush Hashem. Holding on to your faith, holding on to everything that you've got, and holding on to your belief in Hashem, no matter what. Nothing is higher than that.
Even the Jews that were going to get shot in the head. You got any final word? They gave a blessing.
100%, Rachel, 100%. So it doesn't matter regarding the freaking out of the virus, no virus, pandemic, plandemic, vaccines. All of that is irrelevant. All of that is a distraction. You guys need to understand and realize that this is how Hashem is testing us right now. We had physical galut, and we were physically taken out. And right now, we're in spiritual galut. And the only way to get out of spiritual galut is to wake up. Wake up. Understand what is truth, what is lies, what is real, what is not. And you know what? If you don't know the difference, if you don't know what's real, what to believe, how to think, what to do, learn. Yeah, there's a lot of censorship going on right now, but you know what? There's still a lot of lectures on YouTube where you could learn from. Clinging on to Torah, clinging on to Hashem, that's the only thing that's going to save us from this spiritual, it's the only thing that's going to help us with the spiritual redemption. It's a spiritual redemption, what's going on right now. So B'ezrat Hashem, let's tune in also for next week. Let me get my prayer of thanks. Oh wait, I also need to say the Alun Nishmat, so I don't forget. Okay.
Rebecca, it's
Yes.
Miriam. I have a question.
Yeah.
I wrote this out. Shchen, that's the boils. Which asarta dibrot that is equivalent to?
Okay, what number is boils? Do you know?
I think the second half.
Boils? No.
No, I don't.
Let me look at the
Maybe-
Midrash. Hold on.
Hold on. Let's find.
Hold on. I'm looking. Wild animals.
Where's boiled?
Fifth plague is
Actually,
Dever.
it's actually very interesting. I wouldn't mind sitting down and learning how each one is equivalent to each one.
I think it's Shchin.
That's it.
Sixth. I think it's the sixth.
You shall not murder.
You shall not murder.
So, what's the connection between a skin condition and?
Amazing question. I'll answer that right now.
Okay.
Bidyuk. Aywa. Lashon hara.
It's lashon hara and
Lashon hara.
and
Wait. But lashon hara. Wait a second. Gossiping, shouldn't that be with the tongue or
Okay.
the mouth?
Okay. When a person speaks lashon hara, that's capable of killing someone spiritually. It's equivalent to murder.
Yeah, that I get. But
When Miriam spoke lashon hara, she was plagued with sarat, which is a form of shchein. It's a form of blisters.
Oh my gosh, we're probably going to get that. Wait a second. Theoretically, the next 6 months, if someone speaks lashon hara in the next 6 months, someone can get that. How insane is that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, my mind is just going.
But also, Miriam, keep in mind too that if we are around people who are speaking lashon hara or even reculus, we can also get skin rashes and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because it's that powerful.
Yep.
We have to guard ourselves all the time.
All right, we gotta close this up because we gotta go pick up the kids.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, I found yeah. All right, okay, so this week's Parsha is dedicated to the following people for the following categories: health, wealth, happiness, salvation, inner peace, serenity, mental health, zivug, proper and healthy upbringing of children, inner strength, growth in Torah. צביקה בן אסתר, רבקה ליאת בת מרים, לאה ברכה בת רבקה ליאת, יעקב ישראל בן רבקה ליאת, אסתר בת מרגלית, מרים בת שרה, יהודה אריה בן אסתר, ניסים בן מרים, שמואל בן אסתר, קרן בת מרים, תהילה בת קרן, בתיה בת קרן, חיה שינה בת גיטל, רייזל בת רחל, ריינן לב ben Razel, and Sharel ben Ronit. And also for Ilu Nishmat in memory of Nachman Tzvi ben Chaya, Margarit bat Batzion, Sarah bat Rachel, Aaron ben Miriam, Eliyahu ben Nachman Tzvi, Miriam bat Esther, Zechariah ben Adizai, Shmuel ben Miriam, Raphael ben Yehuda Leib, Leah Tamima bat Reuven, Rabbi Reuven Tzvi Bauman ben Esther Bela, and yeah, that's it. Okay, perfect. Let me read my prayer of thanks. Thank you, Hashem, King of Kings and Master of the world, literally. Thank you for the infinite times you have helped me, supported me, rescued me, encouraged me, cured me, guarded over me, and made me happy. Thank you for always being with me. Thank you for giving me the strength to observe your commandments, to do good deeds and pray. Thank you for all the times you helped me and I didn't know how to say thank you. Thank you for all the loving kindness you do for me each and every moment. Thank you for every breath that I breathe. Thank you, Hashem, for all the things that I do have. And thank you, Hashem, even for the things that I don't have. Thank you for my periodic difficulties, my occasional setbacks, and for the times when I don't feel happy, because everything is for my ultimate benefit. Even if I don't see, it's always for my best. Deep in my heart, I know that everything comes from you, is the very, very best for me. and designed especially for me in precision and exacting divine providence of which only the King of Kings is capable. Thank you for the periodic times that are difficult for me, for only that way they enable me to fully appreciate the good times. For only after being in darkness, one can appreciate the light. Thank you for having the wonderful life you have given me. Thank you for the wonderful life you have given me. Thank you for every little thing that I have, for everything comes from you and no one else. Thank you for always listening to my prayers. Creator of the world, I apologize from the bottom of my heart for all the times that I didn't appreciate what you gave me. And instead of thanking you, I only complained. I am dust and ashes, and you are the entire universe. Please don't ever cast me away. Amen. All right, next week is going to be a very interesting one, covering the last of the plagues, including darkness and Makat Bechorot, the killing of the firstborn. I highly suggest you don't miss it and stay tuned. It was a very awesome class. Thank you, ladies, for your wonderful support, and I'll see you all next week. Okay.
How many people did you have left?
I don't know. I wasn't able to see.